Hello, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night, and if not, I'm glad you came here to unwind and engage with me. This is going to be my longer than usual videos, but I like this length, so my videos in the future might as well be this long. I'll be going over several topics in this video, so I'll see if I can figure out that time marker feature to make your viewing experience better. I'm a queer woman here, speaking, so be mindful that my views expressed in this video reflect what I believe and have experienced. You are free to agree or disagree in the comments below.
Alright guys, bring back manly men. Who would have thought that that would have caused an absolute firestorm?
Bring back manly men. I really want to know where this idea came from that men are no longer manly or less manly than they used to be. According to whom does this statement apply? Is it because, I believe, all Western countries have decriminalized homosexuality? Is it because men in the West are not required to fight in combat as they might have in wars decades ago? Is it because battered woman syndrome is now considered a severe mental disorder and a legal term for punishing abusers? I know I'm already from these two questions going to get hate and have people use pretzel logic against me and twist my words. I do not think all men are abusers, nor are they all violent, aggressive, and incapable of sweetness and compassion. I just really don't understand where this original statement comes from. When did manly men disappear? Seriously, why does manliness need to be brought back? Someone explain, please.
Causes a firestorm, of course, on the left because the left hates anything normal. Basically, if there is anything that looks remotely normal, the left sees it and they want to tear it down. They just cannot stand the idea that things are functioning and things are working and things are normal.
The left hates everything that is functioning and normal. I see where she's coming from with this statement because right-wing ideologues believe that destroying tradition and long-lasting systems that just work is the ultimate threat to society. This is why I don't see how the right calls people on the left snowflakes, whereas I see people on the right whining about people living out their fundamental freedom of expression. I cannot agree with her on this one because what I see happening, even on the far left, is fighting for justice, not vigilante rioting. I do not see the left being as anti-peace, more so anti-injustice. What I have in my head currently are the Black Lives Matter protests that began in the US and actually spread all over the world, but I have to remember that this video is about a dress.
Now, first off, let me just clarify something. When I originally tweeted about this was not an attack on Harry Styles. He happened to be the man in the dress, but really it was more of an attack on Vogue and the culture in general that is trying to shove this down our throat.
I'm not targeting Harry Styles. This is an attack on Vogue and the culture. Fair enough, girl. We all have a crush on Harry Styles. It's okay to admit it. You can have a little bit of watermelon sugar as a treat. Also, to be honest, that dress was pretty ugly. I don't know if Vogue styled him or this outfit was a concept he came up with, but yeah, this just reminds me of a previous dress situation that was a discussion for absolutely no reason.
This turning women into men and turning men into women has been the move on the left as of late, right? Women should want to go to work. You don't need a man. Shave your head. Dye it pink. Make yourself ugly, right? Because that's feminism and that's power and that sticks it to the patriarchy.
I actually somewhat agree with her on this. I don't know exactly what she means by as of late, but I'm guessing it means strides of the past 15 to 20 years made for the advancement of queer people. For example, legalizing gay marriage, allowing gay couples to adopt, trans people to have safe surgeries, and to change the gender on their legal IDs, and the list goes on. I love listening to podcasts and tuning into YouTube channels that discuss hypergamy. I think it is a nearly forgotten and hardly ever discussed fundamental of balancing the roles of men and women in society, but due to some of the ways men and women are portrayed as a whole in society today, hypergamy has been largely lost in translation. It's disgusting that women are often objectified as assets built for men's pleasure, and that men are joked about as being trash or that they are all aggressive beasts who want to do harm to women. Neither of these portrayals of the two genders are okay. The emancipation of women rocked the dynamic of the sacred family unit, thankfully for better and unfortunately for worse. I am so blessed to live somewhere where I can have my voice heard and I can make my own money without needing a man's help to survive. However, I am aware that the men are trash and I don't need a man, I can do everything myself ideas are ludicrous and equally harmful to men and women. More on this in another video, but in short, I do see that a lot of women gladly take on masculine roles and accompanying masculine energy, and men fall back and become feminine because of this. This is no one person's fault, but it is our responsibility to fix this. This is not at all the fault of the emancipation of queer people, but actually the role reversal played out in straight relationships and toxic workplaces where both men and women are present. Shave your head, be ugly because that's power. I agree with her on this too. Don't get me wrong, I love the music video for NERD and Rihanna's song Lemon, but I do know the importance and power of the femininity and beauty us women have. Shave your head if you want to, but you do not need to become masculine or strip yourself of beauty to be a powerful, free, and at peace woman. I think that my long, flowy hair and my soft appearance can move mountains in my personal life and career. Ladies, unless you are butch, I don't see that you need to become a man to achieve the level of success that is most often attributed to men. Remember, positive femininity melts the hearts and minds of masculine men. Transforming yourself to be as equally masculine as a biological man will likely just wear you out.
Forward, and quite frankly, I do not find men in dresses to be attractive. Women do not find men in dresses to be attractive. Do not believe women that are sitting here telling you, oh, I would love for my man to wear a gown on our wedding day. It's just not true.
This is just a completely false statement. This woman, and no woman, in fact, can accurately claim or assume that all women are one way and all want one thing. There are women who think it's fine or even attractive for a man to wear a dress because it shows that they're comfortable appearing feminine. They are comfortable standing out, and they are comfortable in the way that they express themselves because after all, fashion is an art, a choice, and really at the end of the day, just some fabrics and stitching. I personally do not find feminine men attractive because I am a feminine woman who only wants to date a man that can be the yin to my yang and complement my womanhood with his manhood in a traditional sense. I also have a feminine female friend who used to love Harry Styles, whom Candace Owens refers to in this video, but when he changed his branding to dress more femininely, she found him less attractive. This is not rocket science. Femininity and masculinity attract each other because two feminine people or two masculine people will challenge each other, not complement each other in a romantic or sexual way, regardless of the gender of the two people. I should also note that Jordan Peterson's, I believe he hypothesized this theory that the increased number of women taking birth control might lead to women being attracted to more feminine men because of some hormonal and menstrual jargon that I will not get into right now. This could be the case, but it could also just be societal acceptance, conditioning, or simply personal preference. To add to this, I loved Bad Bunny's music video a little while back for his song Yo Perreo Sola. It highlighted the drag community with the artist's magnificent drag look. It tackled the notion that a woman having fun is not an invite for you to do whatever you want to her, and brought the violence that trans women face with his inclusion of the phrase ni una menos in the back of clips of him dancing. I found it very attractive that this man is able to dress up in drag, dance like a woman, all while repping his brand and definitely breaking the hearts of his young homophobic fans. It shows how confident he is in his masculinity and that nothing, even dressing up and moving around like a woman, can change who he is on the inside and who he knows himself to be. It helps that I am a bisexual and am attracted to both men and women. However, I do think that Harry Styles is actually a bisexual and feminine man, though, and Bad Bunny just dressed up in drag for shock value. These two situations are different.
Question I want to ask you guys about Hollywood, because this was almost the biggest issue that I was hitting at. When's the last time they've ever promoted anything good or anything functional? Just think about it. You can write it right now. When is the last time Hollywood has ever promoted anything good or anything functional? Right? Hollywood is the conduit to all bad ideas. Anything that they are glorifying in Hollywood, you can guarantee you is going to ruin your life, right? So they want you to think that they're these little demigods.
The left hates anything that is normal. I completely see where she's coming from with this. I am bisexual and therefore part of the LGBT community, but I know that my community takes things too far sometimes and claims that more people are queer than they actually are. I don't think we need gender-neutral bathrooms or gender-neutral options for baby shower gifts, and I don't think there's anything wrong with identifying the differences between men and women. We are physiologically and psychologically different. These differences really start to manifest in puberty, which is why it may be harmful to expose adolescents to queer theory when there's already so much pressure and confusion that adolescents face about their identity. Type into YouTube, "I regret my transition," and you can see evidence of this. The left definitely does uplift people who think different and stand up and stand out, because the left promotes progressiveness and destroying harmful ideas that may have been okay in the past, but should no longer be tolerated. Despite this, a damn fashion magazine cover is nothing to be shocked about. Fashion is androgynous. Whether you're a model or someone who shops at thrift stores, you can wear whatever you want. It doesn't change your identity, your hormones, or your genitalia. At the end of the day, it is just clothing. It used to be horribly shameful for women to wear pants, and now it's completely normal. I think sometimes the left does go too far to make queer people or people who break traditions seem like idols or role models for how everything should be. The word queer literally means strange or abnormal. I love the word queer to describe us folk who deviate from normal or common sexual attraction. Because it's true, we are not the majority. A man wearing a dress is not a big deal though, and a straight man could do this and it would have nothing to do with his sexuality or preferences. I believe that the goal of the left is not to destroy all traditions and all long-standing systems and ideologies in society, but instead to normalize queer or out-of-the-ordinary people so that people like us can live our lives and not be threatened, belittled, or considered disgusting for it. I always say, if what you're doing doesn't hurt anyone, no one should really be all up in your business and really caring that much about what you're doing. When is the last time Hollywood has ever presented anything good or anything functional? Well, I thought Ava DuVernay's work on the pressures and life-threatening situations that come with being black or brown and a young male in American society, Mrs. Owens, I think bringing tragedies and injustices to the light are pretty damn important. I see that she's making this point because she's viewing Hollywood as just a bunch of bi-curious, sex-obsessed, smoking and drinking pedophiles that want to pump silicone into every young female star. And she's right. Hollywood is not really where I would suggest anyone to go right away to build a moral compass, but instead for entertainment and maybe sometimes to open your eyes to something you never knew about nor understood before. It is true that Hollywood is very left-leaning and left-representing in this age, so this is a valid point coming from Candace. We should not, like she said, view celebrities as demigods.
From people who don't play the Hollywood game and live in the hills, if I see a man in a dress, I think he's a crackhead. Period.
But no offense, Harry, right? This was just such a random point, I don't even quite know what to say about this. I think she means that men dressing like women in theater or comedy was historically and traditionally represented as a confused, effeminate, and disturbing sight to gawk at. But crackhead is quite a new term for it.
This is my opinion. I would never allow my kids near a man that's wearing a dress. That's my personal opinion. You can call that however you want to call that. I don't need to be woke to pretend that this sort of stuff is normal.
What if he's a gay man? What if he's a man working in a costume store? What if it's Halloween? What if it's a dad wearing a similar outfit to his young daughter to make her feel happy and like she's a princess? This statement just screams snowflake to me personally, because unless this man in a dress is showing any other signs of supposed crackhead behavior, I think your kids will be just fine. You should teach your kids about queerness and deviation from the status quo, because queer people exist in all forms, not just sexual and gender deviation. You should not fear others you don't understand, but simply just seek to understand them. Please don't teach your kids to be afraid of the world. In fact, this might backfire on you and just make them more curious.
I don't need to be woke to pretend that this sort of stuff is normal. It's not normal. It's completely not normal. To feminize men and to keep pretending that this is progressive. It's not progressive.
Yeah, I agree. It's not common, so it's not the norm. I don't see why it makes you so uncomfortable, though. It's not progressive. Yeah, I kind of agree with her on this one. Androgyny is not unheard of in the fashion world, so this is not as new or shocking as she seems to perceive it to be. Remember, there are other cultures in this world where men wear dresses.
I said what I meant. There is no society that can survive without strong men. People are sitting here critiquing that statement. Show me the society that survived without strong men. You have a whole lot of human history for you to look at.
I believe that men and women, we do need each other, and we are different from each other because we learn from each other and live in harmony and balance, ideally. This doesn't just happen in man-woman marital relationships, but mother-son relationships, father-daughter relationships, more on this in another video, and men and women being friends. I do want to point out, though, that this lovely documentary I saw a while back that highlights a village called Umoja, where every woman that lives there has fled from her home to escape domestic violence by a man or several men in her home. I don't think I would want to move here, but this community does seem to be better off leaving men out. It's a very interesting perspective. Some men in surrounding communities said that they are completely against it, whereas others say that the women are free to do as they please.
The role of men is to defend, it's the role to protect.
Yes, I agree. Fundamentally and biologically, this is the role that men play. We are not hunters and gatherers anymore in the West, but our biology and motivations are still vastly the same. Should men fill the roles of providing and protecting in society so that women don't have to take on that masculine role? Yes, I do think so.
All of you men who are sending me pictures of you in a dress and saying, I'm still a man or I'm still a manly man, I am not calling on you when there's a world war.
So what I'm seeing is that her idea of manhood is the soldier trope. Following orders, defending through violence, and suppressing all feelings and wants for the victory of the group. The thing is, we don't have to live like this anymore. I don't know why this dress on this man is causing her to discuss manhood and masculinity so deeply as to compare a feminine man in today's world to a feminine man's place in decades past, but it is disturbing that it bothers her this much. What world war? Why is this dress making you think about war? I am confused.
I am not calling on you when I'm in an emergency, okay?
There have been several times when I was rushed to the ER and I had feminine men treating me in the ambulance or in the hospital. They were caring, attentive, and helped to heal my wounds, as someone should act when helping someone in a crisis. Thank you, Heavenly Father, none of them had to fight to protect me because I live somewhere where I don't have to constantly worry about my safety. Masculine rescue is important in the event of a crisis, but I hope that in most situations, aggression and warfare will not be needed. That's what I hope, but I do know how war works. The most masculine and the most physically strong survive. Thankfully, again, my good Lord God, this is not how we have to live and raise our boys to be today. There is more to manhood than this.
You can wear your dresses. Nobody has sat here and said, if you're a man in a dress, something bad should happen to you. I don't believe that.
No one has said that if you're a man in a dress, something bad should happen to you. Candace, this is false. To me, you seem like a straight, classically feminine woman, and you probably have never been made fun of or discriminated against for deviating from the gender or sexuality norms. Let me tell you, being queer, people do wish badly on you. People do see you as less of a man if you look, act, talk, walk, or just somehow have an air that's feminine about you. If you're a masculine woman, people assume you want to be a man and that you're ashamed of being a woman. Even today, it is hard for many people to accept that a man can be feminine and proud of it, and vice versa for women. Something that still breaks my heart to this day is this social experiment conducted in Russia of two men holding hands. Holding hands! Not even doing anything explicitly sexual in public, and yet they were harassed and beat, and the law would do nothing to protect them. Have you seen the music video for Hozier's Take Me to Church? That should also give you a good idea of what goes on for queer people. The pursuit of happiness is not the same and not respected and supported in the same way for every person. It is extremely ignorant for you to say that queer people do not have any worse treatment than anyone else. This is untrue.
I believe people should live and do as they want.
Yes, this sounds good to me. The American way. No freedom until we're equal.
But I think it is wrong for our society to keep perverting things, to keep putting in the forefront forms of perversion, okay? Let me give you a couple of forms of perversion that people in Hollywood like to promote, aside from men wearing dresses, which I believe to be a perversion. It is perverted to me. I do not like seeing it.
Perversion. Okay, here we go.
Hollywood people, Hollywood elitists, also a bunch of women telling, oh, abortion's the best thing ever. Oh, I loved my abortion, Jamila Jahil, Miley Cyrus, abortion, right? That's her thing, abortion cake. That is a perversion.
I agree that glamorizing or belittling the difficulties that surround a woman's choice to abort a child, even by women, is wrong. I don't think abortion is easy or something to celebrate, really. Granted, I've never had an abortion. If I had needed one because I knew that it would make my life worse to continue the pregnancy and I had the power to terminate, I would do it. It is a good thing that it is legal. If women want to get abortions, it's better that she go to a clinic and receive proper health care than to have the procedure performed in an alley done with a dirty knife.
Women should be doing the exact opposite of that. Women should be nurturing. That is, women should think about how do we protect our children? How do we raise children? Not how do we rip them out of our bodies and glorify that.
Yes, it is true. Women play a very important role in the upbringing of children, and I can understand how Candace, who I believe is Christian, finds it hard that women deviate from traditional gender roles. I think it's great for women to be nurturing and feminine, if it is right for her. Forcing someone to birth and then also raise the child? Where is the freedom in that? What if the woman is an alcoholic at the time of her pregnancy? What if she's on drugs? What if the pregnancy or birth is dangerous to her livelihood and physical health, not even to mention mental health or emotional well-being? If humans could take one unwanted fetus, remove it from a uterus, and have it grown into a baby somewhere else, like some magic incubator, then abortion would not be the first option women would pick. At least I think so. If you could carry every pregnancy that has ever been terminated in your uterus, Candace, then you could argue that you have a solution for abortion. Until then, women have the right to decide because the child could not possibly survive anywhere else outside the womb.
They glorify killing babies. They glorify men in dresses.
This is quite the comparison you're making here. Really, you're comparing an outfit worn by a man to a woman's right to her own body and the difficult decision to terminate a pregnancy? How could you even make this connection? A piece of fabric is nothing compared to the difficulties of unwanted and wanted pregnancies that women face. To me, this reminds me of when a man tries to compare a small struggle in his life to an issue faced by women at large. Don't do it. These are not comparable and really have no place being in the same argument. In fact, you should be ashamed of belittling a woman's experience like this. I know Harry wouldn't want someone comparing his dress to an abortion. I mean, really?
They glorify killing babies. They glorify men in dresses. They glorify WAP, WAPs, hitting the ground, 13-year-olds twerking and dancing, right? This is disgusting.
Yes, I agree with her here. Children being exposed to sexually explicit content at a young age is damaging, and we should be worried about this. I'm not as concerned about what the gorgeous Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion choose to make songs about, but I am over 18 and can fully understand what they're doing. Children who hear these chart-topping songs are not going to benefit from or even understand what they're listening to. It is disgusting that pornography is so readily available, even when you're not searching for it. It's just in the latest music.
This is everything the left and that Hollywood touches is a perversion. You cannot tell me, when is the last time you've seen Hollywood be like, let me promote this guy who goes to church on Sunday? That's a masculine man, by the way.
I'll have you know that I'm a big fan of Kanye West and especially his recent gospel music. How about Chance the Rapper performing with a gospel choir at the Grammys about 3 years ago? How about his recent song with Justin Bieber about having a relationship with God? These are big stars, and their work has been promoted.
People sitting here talking about, oh, masculinity means you want men to beat you. Like the dichotomy between wearing a dress, like if you don't wear a dress, that means that you beat women, is completely crazy.
I see that she's trying to make the point that if you are a feminine man, you are safe and to be trusted around women, but if you are a masculine man, you are assumed to be a woman hater. Again, where exactly does this narrative come from? I bet this woman is against the #MeToo movement as well. I know that false harassment and rape accusations do happen, but I don't see that men are always perceived to be perpetrators of violence. Once again, belittling a woman's experience and that she shouldn't ever be afraid of men is ludicrous because of all the gender-based violence that goes on in the world. If I had to, and sometimes I have to, walk around somewhere alone at night in an area I know are a lot of men who want to hurt me, I'd try to wear something conservative, because God forbid I go out wearing something I like to wear and a man assumes it's an invite for him to disrespect me. It's not that I assume all masculine men are violent, I just know that there are enough violent and aggressive men out there that I need to be careful and even change myself to lower my chances of being abused. Harry wearing a dress late at night alone in an alley would likely cause him to be mistreated as well. Don't forget that the majority of crimes are caused by men. I do not think men are inherently violent, but they are often given a pass to treat women the way they want and are not given the tools to respect and treat women with dignity. I certainly do feel safer around feminine men because I know they wouldn't have the motive to abuse me sexually or even to see me in that way. Not all men are violent, but not all men are masculine either. Femininity in men should not be a topic of discussion, but actually how femininity in men and women is seen as a weakness and something to take advantage of. We should talk about that.
You're sitting here glorifying people like Cardi B who are telling you it's to put your vaginas on the floor, right? And talk about what you can do with men behind closed doors. And Hollywood says, yay, let's make that viral. Harry Styles, yay, in a dress, let's make that viral.
I personally do not want to put my vagina on the floor or whatever Candace paraphrases the WAP lyrics to be, but I wonder what she thinks about the long history of describing women in objectifying ways in rap and pop music. Is that okay? Is that more acceptable that women saying what they want to do with themselves or what they want men to do with them? Were you an advocate against the objectification of women in music before WAP started subjectifying women's pleasure? I don't like explicit sexually perverted music coming from either gender, but these songs are catchy and shocking. That's why they moved to the top.
Examine the lives of the people. You may think they have money. Examine their personal lives of those celebrities that you follow. Actually go examine their personal lives and tell me if that's a life that you think you aspire to. Ask yourself a question. Do you think that person is happy?
I don't think we should or need to turn to Hollywood for goodness and Christ-like teachings. Hollywood has never promised to do this. We turn to entertainment to be entertained, and we turn to Vogue to look at what's latest in the fashion world. If you want pure content, go watch Pureflix. I have not seen any of their content, but it does look poorly made and boring. That's just my opinion. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you want you and your kids to shy away from things that are bad and unholy, you technically can, but at least ground your hate for sexual and expressive freedoms in reason, girl. You can do better. I believe in you. Are celebrities happy? I'm not a celebrity, so I can't say for my own set of assumptions that celebrities are more or less miserable. To be honest, I think they're just as miserable as the average person, but they have more freedom with fame and money. A lot of celebrities probably do feel invincible and turn to sex and drugs to make them feel like a god. I won't deny this. But Candace, are you fully satisfied in your life? Are you really in a place to judge celebrities if you don't know them personally? Maybe their drug use was born out of a difficult childhood and not out of fame? Are you not in some way a celebrity also?
And again, this isn't an attack on Harry Styles. He just happened to be the man in the dress on the cover of Vogue. I like his music, seems like a nice enough kid.
Candace, you are only 5 years older than this man. I don't think you need to be calling him a kid. He is not a little boy playing dress-up. He is a famous, wealthy man making a strategic move to uplift feminine men. I'm glad you like his music too. This at least shows you have some respect and affinity for him, even though just minutes ago you said any man in the street wearing a dress would appear to be a crackhead to you.
The strand of narcissism that we see going through Hollywood is so satanic. I mean, Olivia Wilde telling me I'm pathetic. You're pathetic. Your whole Instagram is dedicated to you trying to make people believe you're a good person. Oh, but another black person died. Let me put it on my Instagram and show people how much I care. You're not doing anything to show you care because you're posting on your Instagram. Nobody cares about your black squares.
Yeah, I'll admit the black square really didn't do much. Performative activism is a problem, and in fact far more of a problem than a man in a dress is. Pandering is the connection she's trying to make here, and like Olivia Wilde was in some way trying to appear like she cared about black lives being murdered, I see that Harry Styles is showing real solidarity for men who have been persecuted or harmed in any way for appearing feminine. Like Bad Bunny, Harry is not afraid of appearing feminine because he knows that it doesn't affect the fact that he is a man and he knows who he is.
And for all of you guys that are running around saying, oh, she's doing this for attention, I wasn't the person that put on a dress and went on the cover of Vogue. That would be for attention.
Candace, I hear you trying, but you are not fooling me with this. Anything and everything you put on the internet is for attention. Point blank, period. If you did not post this video and you did not want attention, did not want anyone to see or hear what you're saying, you would keep this in the Photos app on your iPhone. Just like me, the both of us are on the internet expressing our views so that we can find like-minded people who agree with us, or just anyone who's willing to continue the conversation. I think it's great that she's saying things that are somewhat unpopular opinions, especially in the media, but some of what she's saying just does not make sense. You are doing this video for attention, and Harry being on a magazine cover is also for attention. Everything that is in the media, art, politics, controversy, whatever, it's all for attention. That's the point. I commend Harry for wearing this ugly, ugly dress because it makes him feel good and it makes young and afraid queer men feel good.
Virtually every person I've met in Hollywood is dying a silent death.
I'm glad you at least mentioned here that you met the people that you were judging, but it is very bold of you to assume that everyone who is expressing themselves in a queer way is not doing so out of self-fulfillment. Queer people are not more likely to be mentally ill and commit suicide because of the fact that they are queer. It is because of abuse, harassment, threats, violence, and self-hatred that affects the person's self-view and understanding of self-worth. Who are you to assume that a man in a dress must be dying inside? You're telling me that every contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race hates themselves and would rather be dead than on this earth? To be honest, my guess would be that they're happier now, being able to express themselves and even make money off of it, than when they were growing up and likely faced lots of trauma for who they are.
You know, they're unhappy, they're not fulfilled, they don't have the things that we have. I mean, I am happily married, got a kid on the way that should be here in 8 weeks. I don't find the need to put my vagina on the ground to show people how empowered I am.
This is just nasty and self-righteous, Candace. It's great that you are happily married and have a baby on the way. That's a wonderful thing, and I'm wishing you peace and success in your family unit. To say that queer people can't have the happiness and fulfillment that straight or cis people have is just so incredibly holier than thou. I find it hard to believe you care about the well-being of others when you expect them all to live in the exact same way that you do.
I don't need my husband to be in a dress strutting down the street because he's comfortable in his own skin. As I said, it's quite the opposite.
Surely you don't. No one said you do. You say that you are happy in your relationship and the roles of masculinity and femininity in your life make you feel fulfilled. That's just lovely. I'm really happy for you, Candace, that you found what works for you. The thing is, not everyone wants to be like you, not everyone wants to have what you have, and not everyone wants the same things you want. Not every queer person is miserable, desperately attention-seeking, and we are certainly not attempting to break apart the families and relationships of gender and sexuality-conforming people. We just want to love and be loved in the ways that you do. Please leave us alone. We don't want all of what you have, but there are queer people who do live a quiet, happily married life. An example that I can think of is Ricky Martin and his husband and kids that I saw in their open house tour video on YouTube. I have never met either member of this couple, but they seem to be doing well. Candace, again, if you shy away from things you don't like or understand, you will not be fulfilled. Being afraid to learn or accept new things will not make you happy. You will just distance yourself from other people's perspectives, love, and friendship. I want better for you. If you would like to have a chat with a queer person like me, please do. It would be nice to talk to you. Hopefully you won't call me or anyone else a crackhead for supposed unnatural behavior or ideas.
I think what people are really upset about is that conservatives are not backing down to these Holly weirdos anymore.
When did conservatives ever back down and let the odd ones out live their lives in peace? When was this time where Christianity was accepting of homosexuals and of feminine men in general? Is there a time machine where I can visit this age? Is there old school literature on masculine men and feminine men just hanging out and being friends, enjoying each other's company without feeling threatened by the other? Please let me know, because what I'm seeing is what I've always seen. Conservatives are afraid of harmless change and are afraid of what other people define as happiness.
And I'm so tired of society's attack on masculinity. Masculinity is sexy. Swing an axe, take care of your family, fish, hunt, shoot, do whatever it is that you do. You know, let the guys hang out with the guys. That stuff is not toxic. That stuff has been in society for a very long time.
Masculinity is under attack. Again, no, there's nothing wrong with fishing or guys hanging out with guys. I'm not sure about swinging the axe, but I'm assuming she means chopping wood. Does your husband do any of this traditional masculine stuff, Candace? Does he swing an axe and fish every day? I would think not, because ideas of masculinity have changed, and the average man doesn't do hard labor all day anymore. I'm glad you found a masculine man that you love, and I agree that masculinity is sexy, but we need to admit that there are harmful ideas attached to traditional masculinity, and not every feminine man is doing a disservice to society.
Hollywood, you guys are a bunch of clowns. Nobody cares. Genuinely, nobody cares what you think.
Closing off this video, I wish you well and prosperity and happiness in your life, marriage, and child on the way. The statement you mentioned just does not make sense. You say that you don't care about what happens in pop culture, but it makes no sense for you to say no one cares about pop culture. Pop culture is popular culture. It is talked about because people like to talk about it. You certainly do care very much as well because of how deeply you were affected by seeing a dress on a man in a fashion magazine. You do care. It's okay to care. Just be honest about it.
Thanks, guys, for enjoying my little chat here on Instagram.
You're welcome, Candace. Take care and stay safe in these difficult times. You are beautiful and not afraid to express your opinions. These are wonderful qualities. I believe that the people in your life are lucky to have you. I hope you'll have an open enough mind and spirit to watch this video and respond. Until then, God bless you. I wish you all a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Rest well, take some time for yourself, and remember that things will always get better if they are not so good right now. Take care, audience.